just want to start with an opening statement on today's win?
Absolutely. I am incredibly proud of the young women that just went out there and competed. We have a roster of primarily freshmen, and the fact that they were able to make it all come together the way that it just did, I think it shows that they're cohesive, it shows that they're passionate, and honestly, we couldn't have asked for anything more tonight, whether it was a win or a loss. That was the performance that we were hoping that they would go out into. So I think we're just super proud in general. The moment hasn't sunk in, if I'm being completely real, but it's an exciting starting point for the rest of our season.
All right, questions, Zach? Go ahead.
Mick, obviously, we saw you emotional throughout the entire 2+ hours. Every single event, it seemed like you were hugging somebody, you were crying, you were laughing, you were smiling. Just, you talked about crazy Coach Mick in the past, but just what was it like seeing that on full display tonight, just supporting and loving on these ladies?
Sure. You have to turn it on, and I think these girls, like, they needed the energy from us as coaches tonight. Some of them really respond well to physical touch, and so we go around and we touch their shoulder and we try and hype them up as best as possible. Some of them are visual, so we talk through closing your eyes and really visualizing and engaging them that way. And then others, it just depends, and we tried the best that we could to give every single individual the best coaching that we possibly could tonight, and it definitely paid off.
When you woke up this morning, what were your expectations going into tonight? Were you expecting a win, a loss, or just something in between?
I told them it doesn't matter if it's a win or a loss. An L for me is lesson or learn. It's not about a loss. It's really about how we're going to come back from it if it just doesn't end up the way that we're hoping for. But again, it was a starting point. It wasn't a high expectation because they're creating the standard right now. And so with this, it's definitely a higher standard than we anticipated, but they did everything we needed. So we're hoping to build off of that and just capitalize on our strengths. And I think we did that very well tonight. So just excited about future meets.
How much of tonight just going through the motion, getting the feet wet with compulsory, tying them for the first time in compulsory, beating them in acro, just how much were you enjoying the journey and just seeing just how mentally tough your ladies really truly are?
The whole night was about the journey. I told them multiple times, do not look on the outcome. I think it was only heading into team event that we talked about we could potentially win this. So we talked about just every single step, every single count, every single motion that they're supposed to do. My assistant coach is fantastic. She brings them all into a circle and they close their eyes and they talk through every single count and what they're doing on those counts. So being able to break it down like that, I think really helped us. And again, going into the second half, I think just the energy as far as keeping them engaged, it was unmatched. It really was. I think that they did an incredible job in that second half too.
Today setting the tone for the season, what's the biggest takeaway from today's game?
Still learning. Even though it was a win, still learning and still growing and knowing that, again, this is a starting point, but we have so much more to give. We dropped a lot of our start values back and tried to play it really clean, and it did pay off, but we have a lot of learning and growing to do. I'm proud of who they were on the sidelines. I'm proud of the team that came together, but ultimately there is still a lot of corrections that need to be made. Some of the scores were a little low, not because of the judges, because of how we executed. And so I think that there's little tenths that we can take back and be able to at least increase that ending score at the end of the day.
Coach, can you just talk about the crowd support and walking out the first time and seeing everyone there?
Yeah, I try not to look up, if I'm being honest. I try to stay really laser focused on the floor, the girls, the moment that we were in. But I'm going to be honest, when I looked up after team event, after they hit, we got a standing ovation. All of our Duquesne fans stood up in the stands, and there is no feeling like that. That was probably the best moment that I've had in my coaching career, and I've had some good ones, but that was the investment, the support. It goes back to what I said the other day with just the investment from administration and the university itself. There's nothing like Duquesne, and I think that it's starting to pay off and show, and we're just so excited to be a family here and continue to grow that family.
I hate to do individual efforts, but I have to ask you about Sienna's tumbling aerial. It was, a 9.55 difficulty, and she gets a 9.5. Just what does that say about the work she put in, the vision you all had, and just seeing that shine through?
Yeah, again, playing to our strengths. We knew that that was a really good pass for her. She can step it out and potentially go to a 10.0 pass. We focused really hard on just getting that 9.55 as best as possible. And I told her, I was like, this is a starting point, so maybe we'll add next time. So again, just kind of letting their feet hit the mat for the first time, getting those nerves out, and then again, just building from there.
You've been at this for months and even years now, building this program. How much of a relief is it to finally get night one out of the way?
I wouldn't even say a relief. I mean, it's just exciting. It's everything that this moment has been built up to be. It was even more than I would have expected or anticipated. I had so much fun tonight. I think that it's about that. It's about the enjoyment and just enjoying the sport and what it can be and the beauty in it. So I wouldn't say getting it out of the way. I would definitely say it's more of like, wow, that was our first one and how great it can be in the near future.
There's so many parts to this question about the team event. Just obviously you hate to see the opponent have somebody go down, but how do you take that time to refocus? And then obviously you have to deal with scoring, and do they sub? Do they take warm-up time? Just what were the emotions like for you there, and also making sure your team was as energized and focused as possible?
Yeah, we tried to keep them laser focused. The biggest thing was we pulled them over to the side and we actually played their team event music on my phone. So they were able to close their eyes, visualize their team event, go through the motions just in their heads, and then they went out there and did get another touch, so that was really helpful. I told them, knowing those scores after tumbling, I told them that if they hit it and they hit it clean and the way that they could come together, that we could end up with a win. I don't normally say that because I don't want them focused on that outcome, but I did tell them right before then that if they did what they needed to do, they could come out on top, and then it ended up being a surreal moment.
We saw the debut of the television a week ago, and you told them to be super critical, especially with that team event, where there were some falls and there were some learning moments. Just to see it all come together and be almost entirely clean, just what was that experience like for you, just going through those ebbs and flows?
Yeah. Well, I asked for them to pull the one rep out of the hat that they needed to pull. That was the one. So they definitely put it all together the way that it needed to happen. The ebbs and flows, team event it's a fickle thing. It's a very tricky beast to tame, and I think one of my strengths as a coach usually comes in the team event. Teams may put out really high start value stuff and it may not be as clean. So we pulled our start values back and did what we know we did best, and just it all came together the way it needed to.
All good? Anything